Back, everyone, to Basics and Beyond the podcast. This is episode 44, and it's a good one, and it's timely. And if you know me at all, you know that I am not a person who jumps on bandwagons, follows the fads, does all that kind of stuff. I mean, it took me like 6 years to read the Harry Potter series because I was like not doing it because it was a bandwagon thing. However, and I've been a Vikings fan my entire life, never jumped off that bandwagon. So that tells you anything, not a bandwagoner. However, this past week, something really important happened. And we'll see just how important it is as we move through the next few months, the next few years. However, it's important for us to talk about it. So I wanted to come and have a conversation with you. It'd be nice if it was a discussion. So if you have some questions or comments, please go ahead and leave those as you kind of get through this. But today we're going to talk about something that really has been a long time coming. I've been a functional health coach and a health coach most of my life, but really for the last 10 years, in depth. And the entire time, PCOS has been a big deal. PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. We in the functional space, we in the health coach space have talked about it. We have worked with thousands of women to help them with the symptoms of PCOS, better understand PCOS, because oftentimes they would come out of the doctor's office and be like, I have PCOS, I don't know what that is. And a lot of times that was because the people they were talking to didn't really know what it was either. However, this week, a very important thing happened. The Western medicine community came to the conclusion, thank goodness, that PCOS is not PCOS. It's not polycystic ovarian syndrome, really. It doesn't necessarily have a lot to do with your ovaries. Yes, PCOS can have cystic ovaries attached to it. Haha, see how I use that? However, that isn't the true or what most women necessarily experience. It is kind of this umbrella term that most people misunderstand or don't understand, but it is a hormonal condition and it affects women. And now we have a new name for it. And we know words are powerful, words are important. Naming things is usually the first step in creating change, in understanding things better. So now we have a new name. And hey guys, don't check out right now. This is really important. And here's what I want everyone to hear, but guys in particular. 1 in 10 women has PCOS. 1 in 10 women. That doesn't mean they're diagnosed with it, but about 1 in 10 women have PCOS. And about 70% of women who have PCOS go undiagnosed because so often we've been told, oh, your bad cramps are just, oh, you're bloating, oh, this, oh, that. That's just, you just have to deal with it because you're a woman and that's how life is. And that's not true. And those of us in the health coach space know that. We know that there are ways that we can help. So when did this happen? Well, the 12th. It is the 15th as I'm doing this right now. So about 3 days ago, there was an article published in The Lancet, highly respected medical journal, where they unveiled the new term. It's called polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. Polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. You don't have to say it with me. It's fine. PMOS. PMOS. Let's talk a little bit about why the name changed, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit so we can understand it a little bit better. So why does this matter? Well, in order to understand the new name, like I said, we need to talk about the old name and what was wrong with it. And like I said, the old name, it's in the name. The old name was like, okay, here's what it's about. It's about your ovaries and it's about cysts on your ovaries. Done, right? Wash your hands of it. That's what the deal is. However, if you are a female on the planet who has PCOS or who knows a woman, or you are a dude and you know a woman with PCOS, you know, and I know that many of the women who live this experience and some of the clinicians around the world that have had to deal with women like us don't actually have ovarian cysts. And plenty of women who do have cysts, interestingly enough, don't necessarily have PCOS. So from the beginning of this thing, the name was pointing us in the wrong direction. Some of us realized a while ago that there was a little more to the story. However, because it was pointing us at cysts and ovaries, it made the cyst the problem. It made the ovary the problem. When in fact, like we've been saying, it's much, much, much bigger than that. So let's break down the new name. And we're going to break it down by word, right? Like each word is important. So the first word in the title now is polyendocrine. And this word tells us that it's multiple parts of the endocrine system, which is your hormonal system, are actually involved in what's going on. We're not just talking about the ovaries. We're talking about the conversation between the ovaries, the adrenal glands, and we know about those adrenals, your pancreas. We know what the pancreas does, right? Insulin, helps with glucose, all those things. The pituitary gland, which is the base of your brain, and the hypothalamus, which is also in your brain. Oh my God. Yeah. So all of those systems are talking together, right? And it also encompasses the signaling that your brain does to those systems, which is your pituitary and the hypothalamus. All of it is working together. It's all interacting, and it's all contributing to your PMOS symptoms. That's why treating PCOS like an ovarian problem was never really going to work. It was never really going to help any woman necessarily feel better unless you were that woman who happened to have ovarian cysts. It was very incomplete because we're treating one part of this entire systemic or network problem. It's like unplugging one wire in a tangled system and wondering why the lights are still flickering. And anybody who's ever worked on a vehicle knows that if you have an electrical issue on a car, God help us all. I used to have friends and I used to work actually in a Ford dealership. And that was the worst. One of the worst things back in the day was if there's an electrical system, we're trying to figure out which wire is causing the problem. And that's kind of where everybody was at. Okay. So polyendocrine, again, that is ovaries, yes, but adrenal glands, the pancreas, the pituitary, the hypothalamus. So it's brain and body, all things working together. So polyendocrine. Next word is metabolic. Most of us know what metabolic, well, maybe we don't know what it exactly means, but we've heard it before. And this is the big one. And I really want you to kind of own this for a minute. Like, take a breath. I need to take a breath. It is metabolic. And when we add the word metabolic, that changes everything that we should be looking at. It moves us away from just looking at reproductive systems, right? Like strange periods, your cycle comes 5 days later than it normally does, or it doesn't come at all. Or when we talk about fertility problems, right? We've been focusing on those things, but with the addition of the word metabolic, it kind of blows up the entire picture of what's really happening in your body. Insulin resistance, think pancreas. Inflammation, think adrenals. Weight, cholesterol, liver health, blood sugar, all of those things, we have to look at them because they're all metabolic. The old name led to questions like, well, how do we fix your ovaries? Guess what? This new name opens the door for us to ask questions like, what metabolic or endocrine environment is driving the ovarian dysfunction? We're looking at root cause instead of symptomology. We're saying what is happening metabolically and in the endocrine environment, what is happening there that's making the ovarian dysfunction happen? So this is nice. We get to dig a little into root cause. I'm going to tell you right now, side note, this is what we've been doing for the last decade or so as functional health coaches. This is where we live. This is how we've been working with our clients. And here's why that root cause matters beyond fertility, because those same metabolic conditions are often the culprits behind weight loss plateaus, gut health issues, chronic fatigue, those drastic blood sugar swings, things that women are told are unrelated, because we just pick them apart and we say, well, you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing this and it's all your fault. They're not unrelated. They are all connected. Can you tell I'm passionate about this? I'm very excited about the name change. Actually, it's not necessarily the name change that I'm excited about. It's hopefully the change that comes along with it. However, I'm very passionate. Okay, so we went over polyendocrine. Yes, polyendocrine, endocrine system, right? Adrenals, pituitary, hypothalamus. Still have the ovaries in there, right? That kind of thing. Pancreas. We went over metabolic. We know what that means. All those metabolic things. And we still have ovaries in there. Polyendocrine, metabolic ovarian syndrome. The ovaries are still in the name. And of course, they should be, because that ovarian dysfunction is still a defining feature of PMOS. But now it's kind of that downstream effect as opposed to a starting point. So now we look at the endocrine system. Now we look at the metabolic system, and then we look at the ovaries because they're affected. But like I said, they're not the root cause. Okay, so polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. Great. We changed the name. Believe me, I was in education for decades, and we changed names in education all the time. And it's not just education, it happens all the time. We change names all the time. Confuses people, maybe it clarifies some things, whatever. That doesn't necessarily equate to changing anything else, right? You can change a name, but you don't have to change anything else. So what does this actually mean for those of us, raising my hand, living with this condition, or supporting someone who does live with this condition? Well, I'll tell you, that trip to the doctor, where you go and you get like a little bit of labs done and they go, how you doing? And they spend the 5 or 10 minutes with you. Guess what? Or maybe they even give an ultrasound, right? Oh, maybe they get you an ultrasound so they can look at those ovaries. That conversation, that meeting, that office visit needs to be different. That needs to be an actual workup of what's going on with you. It has to go beyond an ultrasound. We are talking about a full hormone panel. And I'm not just talking about your estrogen, your progesterone, and your testosterone. No. I'm talking about, actually, I should just say, a full blood panel. What does that mean? We want to see estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Yeah, we want to see those. Another one people forget, DHEA, LH, FSH, those hormone signaling, cortisol, adrenals. We want to see a full thyroid panel, not just TSH. TSH, and I've talked about this before, but let's remind, TSH is called thyroid stimulating hormone. It's just a stimulating hormone. It's a messenger. It doesn't tell us anything. So we want a full thyroid panel. What does that mean? Free T3, free T4. We want to see reverse T3. We want to see T4 and T3. We want to see everything. We want to see fasting insulin. Fasting insulin is a better marker to tell if we are moving toward prediabetes than glucose or A1C. Fasting insulin. We want to see your inflammatory markers. Why? Because we just talked about it. Your adrenal system is involved. We want to see your liver function. Why? Because your liver is the detoxification pathway for your hormones, for the toxins in your body. We need to see if you're detoxifying well, ladies. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I don't detoxify well, and I know it. So I take supplements to help, and I watch my diet, but we're going to get into that, right? We want to see your androgens. So It is a full lab panel, not just a thing here or there, a full lab panel. And this new title, this new name also tells us what actually is going to move the needle for treatment for you. For you, because those lab markers are yours and yours alone. So each, how do I say this? Each treatment pathway should be individualized for you. And guess what? Whatever that looks like coming from the doctor's office, most often it is birth control pills. Unfortunately, here's what they do. They go, well, if you're having all these issues, we're just going to take all your hormones and put them in the basement. We're going to drop them down to 0. Then you're not going to have a problem, which isn't true because of what we just said, because we have our endocrine system involved. We have our adrenals involved, our thyroid's involved, our pituitary. So many other things are involved. When we drop those hormones to nothing with that birth control pill, or that whatever type of birth control you're using, hormonal birth control, I should say. When we drop those hormones in the basement, we affect every other system in our body. They don't tell us that. So we need to take control. We need to take control of our own health and wellness. And how can we do that if we are a PMOS girl? And how can we help our PMOS girls? Well, I'll tell you what, this is something that as a functional health coach, I've done for years and my other coach friends have done for years. It's about your foundation. I say it all the time. It's about your foundation. What's your foundation? Nutrition, movement, sleep, stress. There's your foundation. We need to be eating protein-rich foods. We need to be eating whole natural foods that give us the vitamins and minerals that we need, because inflammatory issues can cause micronutrient deficiencies, or it's a catch-22 and your micronutrient deficiencies cause your inflammatory issues, which isn't going to help your PMOS, right? It's going to create more issues, right? So we want to be eating protein-rich diets. We want to be eating whole natural foods. We want to do resistance training. Yes, that means strength training. That's what I'm talking about. At least 3 times a week. Yeah, at least 3 times a week. We want consistent sleep. Sleep is your biggest recovery tool. It is the thing that allows your body to renew, regenerate, and refresh. Sleep management. Wait, consistent sleep. I said that. Stress management. Stress management. This is what I work on all the time. Because guess what? Cortisol and your other, adrenal markers, all those other adrenals that are going on, are a major driver of PMOS. Honestly, stress is a major driver of a lot of metabolic issues that most people have. It is. I'm serious. So reducing your exposure to endocrine disruptors, lowering your stress levels, because endocrine disruptors are stressful on your body. If you have lack of sleep, that's stressful on your body. If you don't move your body, that's stressful on your body. If you move it too much, it's stressful. If you're not doing resistance training and strength training, that's stressful. If you're eating garbage foods, and I'm just going to say it, if you're eating highly processed, low to no fiber foods that are just super highly palatable with not a lot of vitamins and minerals in them, that's really stressful on your body because you're not giving it the fuel that it needs. And while we're working on the foundations, we can supplement, because that's going to support all of those things. And sometimes we need to have supplements on board for longer than that. However, supplements can never replace the things you do every single day, those foundational things, those foundational habits, your lifestyle habits, what you do every day to take care of yourself. Supplements, they just can't supplant doing those things. I like using those at the same time. So what do? Well, this is something that I think about a lot with like all of these. Like most of the women I work with, we're working on the foundations, right? And we are working on them, and they know these things, right? Like we all know what the foundations are. We know we should be sleeping better. We know we should be eating better. We know we should be moving consistently. Having the information isn't the problem. Like, we know these things. The follow through is the problem, right? How many times do you hear people say, I know what I should be doing. I'm just not doing it. I don't know why I'm not doing it, but I'm not doing it. I know what I should be doing. Well, hey, guess what? Life gets busy, stress goes up. And honestly, sometimes the things we know we should do, they just don't happen. And then we feel like something's wrong with us, like we're the problem. So, and are we the problem? Well, I mean, if you get down to it, yeah, we're the problem because we're not doing what we know we should do. And shooting on ourselves is a real problem. So let's not do that. We know those things. However, executing things is much more challenging than knowing them. So there's this gap between knowing what to do and executing on that. Right? Absolutely. And that's where, if we think about root cause, like we're talking about PCOS versus PMOS, we're now looking at root cause. We're like, oh, where is this dysfunction coming from? Let's look at those things, the endocrine system, the metabolic system, maybe the ovaries. Hey, this is great. If we look at the root cause of why we don't do the things, build the foundation that's going to actually help us feel better and create a better systemic physiology, right? Like create a better experience for our body in this world, we have to look at root cause. We have to look at the gap between why we don't do what we know we should do. And that's exactly why Meryl and I created the self-sabotage solution. Aha. Have you heard of this? This, honestly, I'm very excited because this is going to be super helpful for our PMOS ladies. Even if you don't know if you have PMOS, if you have metabolic issues, if you have endocrine issues, if your adrenals are out of whack, all those things, and you know you should be doing things to help yourself, but you just don't, the self-sabotage solution is going to help you. It's a 12-week group coaching experience. We're launching it June 15th. The waitlist is already open. This is the space where you are going to get support from other people who are in the same position you are, or have been there, or are getting there. We're all going to be coming together to support each other. We're going to work on strategies and tools, and we're going to dig in to find the root cause of the gap between why you don't do what you know you should do to help you feel better. So we're going to work on closing that gap. We're going to build that self-regulation, that self-leadership, those skills that we need to make our results sustainable, even when life is lifing. And believe me, even as a coach, everyone thinks like, oh, Laura's got it all together. No, Laura doesn't have it all together. Life has been lifing, and I have been struggling. And I posted about it last week, and I got a lot of feedback on it, which was interesting. So thank you all. But we're all humans. Life happens. And that's where the work happens. So if you're in that spot where you need to bridge the gap between doing what you know you should do, like knowing what you should do and actually doing it, self-sabotage solution might be for you. It might be. I'm just saying. And you know what? If it's something you're interested in, let me know, because the wait list is open. However, we are here talking about the change from the title of PCOS to the renaming as PMOS. And it does have a new name, and it's not a rebrand. Everybody rebrands stuff. This should be a shift in how we better understand what's going on, how we investigate what's happening in ladies who have these kinds of symptoms and who have been diagnosed, and those who have not, and how we actually treat this condition that has been misnamed, that has been framed completely wrong for decades. The best part, and honestly, I'm going to say it, the best part is this really validates for those of us and so many women who know and have known for years that this is a bigger issue than just those little ovaries hanging out in my pelvis. We've known this for a long time. So it's very nice that finally the medical community has kind of come along and decided, oh, we're going to give it a new name. Hopefully, the next step is they start to investigate ways to better treat the symptoms and better find the root causes and treat those. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a strong, strong group of coaches in the United States, at least that I know of, who've been doing this for years. We know how to help. We know how to do it. We know how to do it. So now that we know, now that the Western medicine world knows that it's PMOS, not PCOS, maybe we're going to see some changes. If you are experiencing, if you've been diagnosed or you're experiencing anything that you're like, oh, I know, I've always thought maybe that was me, reach out. I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked with a lot of ladies. I have ladies on my roster right now that we're working through PCOS with PMOS, PCOS, PMOS with them. You don't have to suffer alone. You certainly don't have to suffer in silence. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to suffer, period. We can help. So you know how to find me: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok. I have a website. Everything is listed below. You can even just comment. I'm on YouTube. Lots of ways to get a hold of me. If you have questions, if you want to chat about what you're going through and how we might be able to help you feel better. If you're interested in the self-sabotage solution, I'm going to put the link down in the show notes too. So lots of ways to connect. Honestly, my purpose in doing everything that I do is so that the women I come in contact with and the men who support them can feel better every single day. This is a perfect opportunity for us to rise and redefine our lives and our experience on this planet. So until next time, have a great day.